Hey everyone, welcome. This is my friend Josiah.
Hello.
And we went to go see Glass last night. We're both big fans of Unbreakable, Split, Glass, and most of what Shyamalan has done. So if you are interested to hear our thoughts on the entire trilogy, including Glass, you're in the right place. Hey everyone, my name is Austin and welcome to my channel. I'm here with my friend Josiah and we went to go see Glass last night and we're going to talk about it today. We're going to go into spoilers and everything, so if you've not seen the movie yet, you're definitely going to want to check it out first. So before we get to Glass, we're going to talk about Unbreakable and Split for a little bit because obviously there's huge connections there.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I saw Split before I saw Unbreakable. So I saw the twist at the end and it didn't mean much to me, but did you see Split?
No,
and
I saw Split with my mom, and then at the end when the twist happened, Bruce Willis showed. My mom's like, "I wonder what's the connection." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then later, like I had gone back and like looked stuff up, and I'm like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
And so I went back and I watched Unbreakable, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I kind of wish I watched it in order, but I didn't know.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean,
so
the movie came out in like 2000. I was like a kid, so I had no clue.
Yeah, I was only like 10 years old at the time.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
my
totally
age range. So, did you love Unbreakable the first time you watched it, or did it take a while to like resonate with you?
No, I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was definitely different. Like everybody knows, it's like a slower paced film, but I was never like bored with it. I was trying to, figure out what was going on and the whole like kind of like belief system behind Samuel Jackson's character was like very intriguing to me.
Yeah, I saw Unbreakable for two reasons. Because I saw Split first and I wanted to see it, and I actually saw Split because you recommended it to me.
Really?
Yeah, it was you who recommended it because you were like, "You got to see this movie, it's really good." And I watched it. I think I watched it on a plane ride on like my way on a mission trip or something like that. Like I rented it off of Google and watched it when I was on the plane. And then you kept talking about Unbreakable because I think at this point we knew Glass was on the way, and you were like really excited about it. So you were telling me about it. So I was like, okay, I got to go back and watch Unbreakable. So I finally went back and watched it, and it took a little while to resonate with me. Not that I didn't like it when I first watched it, but it wasn't exactly what I expected, which I think is really good because and another reason I watched it is because Chris Stuckman did a video on it. His analysis on it's really cool because he said like it's a really underrated movie. And if it came out today, it would have been like, this is really refreshing as far as like the saturated superhero
and I think
culture.
that's what I did a lot of reading on it. And that's why, I mean, it came out like the dawn of like the new superhero age in Hollywood.
Like X-Men and stuff.
It really didn't do that well when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I definitely can understand why.
Yeah.
Because it's not like any well-known characters. It's an original idea. But I'm definitely glad it's a lot more like appreciated now.
Yeah. And I've seen it twice now, Unbreakable, and I like it. I like it better going back a second time because so you're paying much more attention to Elijah and like all the things that he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much going on in the background that you can, that's how the twist works, is you don't even know how much is going on in the background. And then when we get to Glass, we were talking about this last night after we left the movie, like, he's in even more control in Unbreakable, and we don't even realize it until we see the Glass movie.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how like Split and Unbreakable go together, even though they have like two completely like different feels.
Yeah.
But you don't kind of know that until like hindsight. So Split was intense though. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Yeah.
And
we watched it last week with Barbie's sister and one of her friends. Her friend at the end of the movie was like, "Oh, that movie messed me up."
Yeah, I mean, James McAvoy's performance the whole time, I was like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah, that movie like cemented like all my hopes for him in his future.
Right, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know if there's that many other actors out there that could play a role like that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, there's a lot of like actors with a lot of range, but having to have all that range in the same movie is not an easy thing to do, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now, do you think with Split it would have been as good of a movie if it was not connected to Unbreakable if it was just a standalone? Because I've heard some people say like it was an okay movie, and then there was the Unbreakable twist, and it became a really good movie.
Well, since I didn't know about that until afterwards, I think so. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm like, man, this movie's really good. And it wasn't until, like, the very, very end, like, as my mother said, what's the connection? I'm like, connection to what? Like, I didn't know it was something, like, bigger, because, which is really refreshing, because, you know, it's kind of hard to keep secrets about movies these days. And, like, you know, with the MCU, everything's, like, there's, like, little, like, hints and connections to, like, other things. So, since there was no hints or connections till the very, like, last scene, I think that shows, like, how much you can, like, stand on its own.
How much power it had, because I feel like we both are a good testimony of, like, this movie is good without Unbreakable, because we both watched it not knowing anything about Unbreakable. So, like, that in itself says, like, it can be a good movie even without the Unbreakable connection.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So, at the beginning of the story, David is very much in Unbreakable, the average Joe, regular guy, and we really get to follow him on this journey as he becomes, like, a genuine hero. What was that like watching it? How did you connect to him?
I really liked it. I mean, you know, since this is, like, a very, like, grounded movie, and you really have to be convinced that this is actually true, like David does, I really liked it. He's just, like he said, a normal guy, and he's just got normal problems, like marital problems, and he has this son that he doesn't really connect with, and then, you know, when he starts looking back after, like, the train wreck, and he's like, have I ever been sick? Like, you know, it's just things that you don't really think about. And, you know, to see him, like, slowly start to kind of buy into, you know, Elijah's belief about, like, it's being possible, you know. I really enjoyed it. What did you think?
And I feel like with his character, like, we love, like, you and I both, we love, like, the DC and the MCU stuff of, like, there's these heroes and we're able to connect with them in different ways. But like you said, I love, like, the grounded nature of, like, yes, we can connect to, like, different aspects of, like, Captain America's personality or Tony Stark or something like that. But, like, having that, like, everyman to really follow of, like, you can really relate to him. Like, obviously, neither of us are, like, fathers or anything like that, so we can't necessarily resonate with that, but we can still recognize, like, his growth to not only recognize his full potential and find purpose in life, because really that's the core of the Unbreakable movie, is, like, finding your purpose and doing what you're meant to do. And that's one of the reasons I love Unbreakable, because it's not like the big MCU, like, flashy superhero stuff with some cool stuff to go along with it, but it's like, you know, finding your purpose, like, what does it mean to be a hero, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll jump onto Split with, we'll just call him the Horde, because that's how he refers to himself most of the time. I want to call him Kevin, and then I want to call him Dennis, and then I'll call him Patricia. Do you connect well with watching him play out on screen? Obviously, neither of us has DID.
I mean, you know, like you said, you call him the Horde because you don't really know him, like, as Kevin until, like, the end.
Well, I think it's easier to connect to him when he becomes Hedwig for the first time, because there's so much innocence there when he becomes a child. Of, like, I think it brings, like, vulnerability, because up until then we've seen Dennis and I think we've seen Patricia, and so these are, like, two very strong dominant personalities, where, like, they bring in Hedwig, and then you, like, get that vulnerability with him.
Actually, you know, I think I relate to, like, Casey more, because, like, even though,
because the movie is from her perspective.
So kind of being in that situation, like, whole movie kind of, like, with Unbreakable, David, like, kind of, like, learning to buy into this. It's like, from Casey's point of view and the other girls, it's like, what's going on? You just get kidnapped, you put in this room, and then there's these different personalities. It's just like, not sure what's going on, and then as the movie goes on, you're like, oh snap, this is, like, a lot more serious than, like, I initially thought, you know?
And I really like Casey's character because she's not stupid like the other two girls that get kidnapped. Like, they're, like, the ritzy, everything's been handed to them all their lives, and she's just like, they're like, we gotta do this, we gotta get out, we gotta overpower him, and she's like, no, idiots. Don't be stupid. We need to understand him. And I think that was a really cool, like, theme to kind of carry through of, like, yes, she wants to get out, but she wants to understand him first.
What do you think about kind of the whole, like, idea behind, like, the broken, like, in the movie?
I thought it was really interesting. I don't think I fully got it the first time I watched it, but by the time I watched it the second time, because I've seen the movie, like, 3 times now, I think. And I really thought, like, it's a really interesting perspective, especially, like, looking at it from, like, a Christian perspective and that point of view, because it's like, we're all born into, like, this world of sin and brokenness, but, like, it's through those different trials that we're like brought to greatness kind of
like,
thing. So it's like it's really interesting concept to think about of like the people who have not like been broken by the world and all that kind of thing, like they're the impure. Like it's weird to think it's like a reversed kind of perspective.
Do you think that like somehow kind of goes back and relates to Unbreakable in any kind of way? Like
I think so, because like I think they definitely explored it more in Glass, because they were talking about like, because like you get Beast at the end and he's talking about like the impure and stuff like that, and then once we get to Glass, he's really like heavily driving home the point of like, how is this guy unbreakable? Like he can't really conceive that, and so he's like, if he's so like unbreakable, he can't be pure, or like that kind of thing. I feel like that was kind of the road they took. And then kind of at the
same time, you know, the mastermind behind Mr. Glass, I mean, he's been broken because his bones
are
like glass.
He's like, you've been broken 94 times in your life. You're the purest of us all.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into our thoughts on Glass. When we first left the theater for Glass, I don't think anyone of the three of us, you, myself, and Barbie, none of us said anything until we left the theater. And I was worried because I was like, oh man, nobody said anything. I was like, did nobody like it?
Yeah.
I think it was like, and it's definitely not a movie that like you can right off the bat be like, I like this or I didn't like it. Like you definitely, like you have to give it at least like an hour of like thought and pondering, because like we talked about it the whole drive home and it was like a 30-minute drive. And I think after talking about it, like being able to discuss different aspects, I liked it even more. Like I liked it at the end, but then once we actually talked in depth about the concepts that it explored and stuff, I think I liked it even more.
I think for me it was like really hard because I had heard so many like bad things about it, and so the whole time I'm just sitting there waiting for it to just like throw me a curveball and be like, but I never really did that for me. Like I think I kind of understand why people didn't like it, but I really liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I can see like different aspects of like, you can definitely tell like the like most of the even the bad reviews said the first 20 to 30 minutes are amazing because you're just seeing all these characters, and like specifically David and his son, and you don't see Mr. Glass for a while, but like them and how they've grown over the past 19 years. I think that was really cool, and it's definitely a really accurate, like this is exactly where you'd expect him to be. Like you know, he's like we talked about, like he's living to his full potential, like he's helping people, and just like the whole vigilante kind of thing was pretty cool. And then once we get to the hospital, like we talked about last night, the movie like, not that it like stops and drops, but like the pacing like really slows down. So I could see like if people are really picky on pacing issues, they might not like something like that.
Because I think, you know, they had to like kind of balance the tone between like Unbreakable and Split. Because like Split's like intense, you're on this edge of your seat the whole time, but Unbreakable it's like slower. So it's like, but then you know there's like the comic book aspect, so it's like the conflict, and then they're diving down for more behind like the like philosophical point of doing things before it gets back into like the action.
And I think that might be another reason why. I mean, I probably haven't watched or read about as many bad reviews as you did for the movie, because I wanted to go in with as much of a clean slate as I could. So I watched like a few good and a few mixed ones, but I feel like the philosophy of like, you know, M. Night is known for putting like his beliefs into his movies.
Yes, definitely.
And sometimes people don't always like that when he like drives it home too hard. So I feel like he did insert that into here, but I don't feel like he took it too far at any point. But I could see why some people might think like, well, maybe he took this just a little bit too far.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I personally did not.
I've been able to separate like my personal expectations to like how the movie panned out, because it's like, you know, being like this oversaturated culture of like comic book movies, it's like we want it to go down and like be really big, but then the way the movie goes, I kind of really like that kind of different path and different like perspective it gives.
Up to this point, we've mostly avoided spoilers. We're definitely going to spoilers now. So if you have not seen the movie, definitely stop it here. So we talked about like how it was going to go big at the end, where like we get to the point where we're outside of the hospital now, and everyone's fighting and things are going crazy. And like you said, like the movie could have easily gone in the direction of like they had their little kind of squabble here outside, and we both thought, I think if I remember our conversation, like the Beast is going to be like, all right, I'll see you like at the tower, and he takes off, and David's like, I'm going after him. But then like I feel like it wasn't really a twist that everything stayed right there, but I really liked that because it could have easily gone like the typical superhero route, and I think maybe some people were disappointed in that like they were wanting that like big set piece kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated the fact that like it stuck to its roots, and it was that like grounded kind of nature of like, no, we're just, you know, just outside of people's natural abilities, and we're just gonna have a showdown right here.
Because I think if it were to go the comic book route, it would have to lose like its groundedness. Because it's like, if he took off towards a building, Dave went after him. Next thing you know, they're gonna be running right in the middle of traffic and jumping over cars.
Yeah, and then David's gonna like start flying or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you know your suspension of belief is gone.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I really liked it. I mean, you know, it all kind of just like converged there, and like the side characters throughout the film were like looking into things to try to help their parties that they're, you know, affiliated with.
Yeah, and then like a big twist has become pretty much expected as far as M. Night Shyamalan, but I feel like with this movie, like he didn't do like a big twist at the end. Like there wasn't like a Sixth Sense big twist,
right?
Or like even the Unbreakable one is a pretty big twist at the end. Like I feel like it was almost like 3 or 4 good sized twists, but not like a huge like mind blowing.
Because I think it was like a twist for the characters.
Yeah, each one had their own like revelation.
Yeah, but being like a member of the audience, some of the stuff I already knew, so it was interesting to see how that affected the characters. But I wasn't like mind blown.
Yeah,
you know?
like we talked about in the beginning of the video of the twist where we realized that Kevin's father was also on the train with David at the beginning of the movie. Like, I feel like that was probably if not the biggest twist, the second biggest twist with the whole thing of Glass's plan. But I really liked that because yes, all of these characters are connected and now they're coming together in Glass, but that really connected the stories, I think, even more to realize that we thought we understood everything that went on in Unbreakable, but there was even more going on behind the scenes that we didn't even know was going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all comes back down to like the power of belief. You know, like ever since I first heard it in the trailer, that when he said like belief in oneself is contagious, I've always like really liked that kind of quote. I feel like you know, throughout the whole movie, you know, it kind of plays with that, especially like when, you know, Sarah Paulson's character like kind of, you know, confronts their personal beliefs and kind of like breaks them down to their core.
Yeah,
and
like makes them all doubt themselves, like, except for Glass.
Because I thought like it was affect the characters, but then when like it happened, I was like, well, you know, she does have a point.
Yeah, you're like, well, she does have a good point, but it's like you're watching them and you're like, well, I don't think they're gonna believe it though. But then they all go back to their rooms and they're like, I don't know if I believe, and I'm like, wow, it worked.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, man, you know, it's like those times like in real life where our minds do fill in the blanks, you know, and I'm just like, you know,
she got
me there.
Yeah. What did you think of? It was a kind of a smaller twist, but like she's a part of this organization that goes around like basically killing anyone who represents these parts. Because I wasn't sure how I felt at first. Like it took me a minute to really realize what they were telling us. Because you start seeing the tattoos and you're like, what are these? And then like you finally get to like the secret meetings that are going on, and I think that's when I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that because the only thing I could really think about is in like Civil War when like Vision's like, hey, you know, we're strong, and then people want to challenge us because we're strong, and then that creates conflict, and that just like. So then that's exactly what she was doing. She's like, oh, you show up, and then he shows up, and then like you're going around killing people, like hurting people, and it's like we just can't let that happen.
It's like a smaller scale Sokovia.
Yeah.
Except we're not gonna legally make you not do this. We're just gonna straight up kill you.
Yeah, she's trying to like cover everything up.
I do like how her character was like the last ditch effort of like, if we can convince these people that they don't have powers, then we won't kill them.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that.
And I thought that was really interesting because, like I said, like with the Sokovia Accords and all that in the MCU, that's a really interesting concept, but I feel like this took it like a step further. And I feel like the Sokovia Accords thing in the MCU is pretty cool, but I feel like it's, I don't know, it's somewhat a little unrealistic. Not that I don't like it, but like I feel like this is a very real world response to something like that. Like if people started showing up with powers, I feel like there would be some private government organization that would just go around like silencing people. Kind of.
Especially, you know, I mean, just like how they try to like talk them down first because they're like, they're still citizens, they're still people, and they might have like an actual mental issue. But you're like, you know, let's just try to like handle them first before we have to go to the very last straw, you know. What
did you think of the very final like 2 minutes where they're like revealing that Mr. Glass has like been in control of everything?
I mean, at first I was enjoying it, and I was just kind of like, man, you know, like he thought he was like had this big master plan, and she was like, "You're right, but I'm sorry," you know.
And you said you almost thought she had some kind of superpower or something. like that, because she was in the comic book shop.
The whole time, ever since like Unbreakable, all I wanted is just people to believe.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he was right about it, and then she was like, "Sorry, but we're still going to keep it a secret," and he has to die knowing that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the whole superpower thing, because she goes in the comic book store and it's like the real master plan. So I'm like, what is her like master plan?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like maybe she had a master plan.
She goes back, and then to find out that Mr. Glass had like an ultimate like master plan, like blew my mind. I was like, yes.
Yeah. What did you think of? I feel like one of the most memorable lines in the movie for me was when Mr. Glass says like, "I create superheroes."
Yeah. I mean, I really liked it. I mean, kind of, again, going back to Unbreakable when he's like, you know, I'm not a mistake, you know, and he's like, I should have known this whole time because of the kids, you know, they called me Mr. Glass.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he was like, you know, because he didn't know originally that Kevin's dad was on the train until like that point in the movie where he goes in the room and reads the files. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, look at this.
Yeah.
It was a great line. I really liked it.
Yeah. What do you think of like, what would you say is like the overall theme of like the trilogy? Because obviously each one kind of has their own, and yes, they kind of tie it all together in the end of like, you know, potential and that kind of thing and belief in yourself. But would you easily come up with like an overall theme for the trilogy?
I don't know, like, you know, like if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably what I would say too. Like something along those lines. Because like definitely in the first movie is like David has to believe in himself, and then in Split we're following Casey. And she's almost like, I have to like believe this guy kind of thing. And like then the truth like meets her right in the face kind of thing when the beast finally comes and like believing these things that you're seeing. And so like, and then when we get to Glass, it's almost kind of like we've gotten to the point with these characters where we know all this is true, but I still feel like when they were in the pink room with Sarah Paulson's character and she's like trying to get them to doubt themselves, like we said, like she brings up really good points, and part of me is like, I've seen the other two movies. I know this is true, but I'm even like, what if the twist is they don't actually have powers or something?
I guess if I had to like break it down to like some kind of sentence, it would be like, you know, be open-minded to believing in yourself. Because like in each one of the characters, like people like they're just not open-minded. Like Dr. Fletcher in Split, she's just like, no, like this has to be a mental disorder. Like, maybe they really do have powers, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah. And then the Beast is like, no, I'm definitely real. And you know, then David having to like believe in himself, and like the whole time going in, I think I told you this, like watching the Glass trailers, I was like, please just don't let like Sarah Paulson's character be like some moron doctor who just is too dumb to like believe and see like she's being played the whole time.
Because then it would have been like similar to the Dr. Fletcher, but like taking it a little bit further. But I appreciate that they like. Because, you know, it could have easily gone that way, but I like how they did, like, two different doctor perspectives kind of thing.
Because I like, you know, Dr. Fletcher, she believed that there's, like, you know, maybe, something like, powers have, like, the broken have, like, a next step in human evolution. Right. But then she was at the end, she was like, no, there's just no way the beast can be real. Like, it's all in your mind. And it's like, no, it's not in your mind.
Yeah, I love how they did that.
yeah, definitely. So do you have a favorite character?
I really liked, I mean, James McAvoy gives like the performance of his career, so it's like really hard to pick anyone besides him. Like he's absolutely the standout when it comes to like just Glass, and obviously the standout in Split too. But I still really like, even though one minor gripe I would have had with Glass is I would have liked a little bit more focus on David's character, because you get like he's the main character in Unbreakable, and then obviously he comes in the last 2 minutes of Split. So I would have like maybe a little bit more of just seeing him, but at the same time, like I understand like it's not that it's like a full roster like the Infinity War with like 35 characters or something, but like I still appreciated that they gave him.
I mean, they're like almost
time.
Like the personalities, almost like 35 characters.
Yeah, we got 24, 25, 20, like 26.
Like when I told you, like the whole credit should be James McAvoy, and then there's like that huge chunk, and it's just like James McAvoy.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to choose between them all because they're all such like complex characters. Like they all had their justice, and you were able to see like explore each character and really understand each one on like a very personal level.
I mean, it's really hard because like in the moment I really like each character. I'm like, dude, I love this guy. And then like it kind of switches, but I don't think I can really pick just
I feel
one
like
favorite.
At the very end of Glass, it's easy to say like Mr. Glass is amazing because like he got the last laugh kind of thing, to be like you know, he's been in control of this entire thing, so that's really cool. But then you got David, who's just this like really down to earth, relatable guy, and then you just got James McAvoy's amazing performance.
Yeah.
So, and then like as far as like ranking the movies as far as favorite, that kind of thing, it's difficult because like each one is very different in its structure and how the story is told. Like Unbreakable's the slow and very deliberate like storytelling that way, and then you said like Split is very much like on the edge of your seat, intense. And I feel like Glass kind of balanced all that out. Like the first 20 minutes were very similar to Split, and then the middle like 30 to 45 minutes were similar to Unbreakable because it was just this slow peeling back of the characters. And then it kind of was like a mix between the two in the final act kind of thing. So I feel like as far as like if I had to pick it based on like rewatchability, I feel like Split's the most like exciting one to go back and watch probably. Not to say like Split's the most exciting and then Glass is kind of pretty exciting too for the most part because you're seeing it all come together. So I hate putting like Unbreakable in the last place because it's not really last place. But
I don't think that I have the favorite of all three, but I think I'd put like Split above the other two because that was the one I saw first.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's like, oh, this movie is like really intense at the end of my seat, and then I found out it's like part of something bigger.
Yeah.
But it's like that was still like my initial like introduction to it. So I think maybe I'd say Split a little bit more.
As far as like filmmaking quality, I would definitely put Unbreakable at the top of the list because that was like groundbreaking as far as like comic book movies, because like almost every single shot in the movie looks like a comic book panel. Like the way that the shot is structured of like where the characters are standing and the long tracking shots, and then like the color palette is beautiful and
yes, definitely.
And I feel like, and it's funny how like we kind of like, obviously we watched the movies out of order, so it didn't mean as much to us, but like the color palette in Split, you can really pick up on it, and like I feel like if you were really paying attention, you could have noticed like, I wonder if this is connected to Unbreakable, because like you got the orange color palette with the horde and stuff like that.
Now, would you, based on the ending, would you want to see more movies kind of in this universe, or would you rather just leave it to your imagination?
I thought about that after the movie ended. I think I would be totally satisfied if this was it and there was nothing more. I think if they did anything else, I would maybe be okay with like maybe a couple spin-off movies of like the world's reaction to that, and maybe like a couple other people who maybe have some kind of abilities. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with that, because I think like you have something special and it's great, but then when you start doing all these spin-offs, it kind of like, you know, kind of like makes it not as special. You know, it's like these group of people who like, you know, can do extraordinary things, but then it's like if there's a bunch of other people who can do that, it's not, they're not as extraordinary.
Yeah, especially because like we've talked about a lot, like it's a very grounded take on superheroes. So like it's really neat that there's really just like a select few where like if all of a sudden they do a bunch of spin-offs and it becomes the MCU where everyone and their brother has some kind of super ability, it could easily get out of hand.
Because sometimes I think about that as far as comic books wise, and I'm like, how is there any like bad guys ever when there's like a whole bunch of superheroes that exist? It's like, you know, or like playing the Spider-Man game, it's like, why is Spider-Man the only one running around the city when you know there's like a bunch of other people that could help?
Yeah.
But I think I like it where it is.
Now, one final question. Do you think if Unbreakable was made today, would it have been as impactful and the same as far as like story and structure and all that kind of stuff?
No, I mean, I think that as far as like comic book movies, we're kind of like at that peak point or almost there. And I mean, with like TV shows and video games included. Yeah. So I think you know, with those, the problem is always having to try to like up the scale and like the stakes. So I think if you're trying to make a comic book movie in today's culture that isn't like an already established comic book,
kind of thing.
I think you'd be feel too much pressure to try to like be exciting to draw people in, as opposed to what he did with Unbreakable.
Yeah, I think it's a very good thing that Unbreakable came out in the early 2000s when it did, because it was able to like, now that it's been out for so long, like it's got its cult following and stuff like that. It's like there's tons of people just have like such huge respect for that movie, and it really like allows it to do what it does differently and do it well.
Right, because I was thinking about you know, Chronicle, and how even though that is kind of its like an own, you know, original story, by the end of it, it does kind of get like full blown like action comic book movie. So I definitely don't think that he'd be able to make Unbreakable today like he did back in like 2000.
Yeah. So overall, our thoughts of the entire trilogy, do we think we did a good job of story from beginning to end, and he did it successfully in the way he wanted?
I definitely do. I definitely do think...
Because some of the reviews are saying like, he kind of fell off the end at the end of class and stuff. But I feel like there was not a point where it was like he had like an oops moment or something like that. I feel like everything that happened the way he wanted it to.
Yeah, because I think sometimes like movies, like I know a friend recommended to me Usual Suspects, and it was like so amazing. But to me, it was just an okay movie until like the twist at the end is what like makes the movie. But I think as like the trilogy as a whole, he definitely did it the way he wanted to, and I didn't really have a problem with Glass. I mean, I guess I can see why people didn't like it, but overall, I mean, I loved it.
And I think the main reason some people may not like it is just like the main reason a lot of people are not liking some of the bigger movies these days are just the expectations that they go into the movie with. I think that's like a really prominent thing that's going on in today's movie culture.
And like, you know, think about like the MCU with like Kevin Feige, how he has a plan, you know, of like all these movies that are based already on like established characters. The fact that like he made this trilogy over the course of like 20 years is just really amazing to me. I mean, like, you know, he didn't want to follow that same structure, so he made Unbreakable only on like the first act of like this script that he's had this whole time. And the fact that he was able to turn that chunk into like a whole movie and then split into like a whole movie based off like the second act, and then like bring it all together for like 1/3 movie, which is like the third act, is just blows my mind.
Because basically like Unbreakable and Split are two like first act movies kind of thing. And then like Glass is, here's all the characters coming together, and then you got like the second and third act. But I think it all wraps it up very well.
Yeah, I really, really liked it. I know, like I said to you, like when we left the movie, I was like, top of my most wanted Blu-ray list, like already, so.
I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to organize it in my Blu-ray collection. Like, will I put them all together as a trilogy, or are they going to be all over the place?
Yeah, because, you know, I actually didn't do that. Like, you know, I think for me, Split is in like the S section, and Unbreakable's like in the U section. That's how mine is. Yeah, that's definitely...
Now when that comes out, we're going to have to rethink our lives.
Right, exactly. I totally agree.
So, you heard it here. We both really liked Glass, and we're excited to see the conclusion of the Shyamalan trilogy. If you enjoyed the video, definitely drop a like or subscribe down below, and check out another recent video if you'd like as well. And hopefully soon we'll be able to have Josiah back for another one. See you guys later.